Hello, this is TV Hub Official 1, and we are back again, TV Hub Official 1. This is another video from me, guys, and this time I decided on doing a El Clasico Wednesday, or the classic reviews. I'm going to call it classic reviews from now on. It's just basically a thing I'm going to do, usually every Wednesday, or once every week or something, or bi-weekly, twice a week. Anytime I really can think of, or anytime I have free to do one, I might think of doing one if I've seen a movie or something that's from a classic time period, and it's just from the past, or a TV show or anything, series. I'll go and do a review of it. So this one is my starting off one, and as for Christmas I got a present of this review, Doctor Who the movie. I decided I'll go over and do a review. I got a special edition of this, starring Paul McGann as a Doctor. This one is going to be pretty exciting to review. I got a special edition, and it sort of documents. It's got a special features, which I'll get to in a minute after I review the actual DVD. So, starring Paul McGann as a Doctor, he's joined by Grace Holloway, who is played by someone I'm not sure on, really, at the moment. So, yeah, Doctor Who the movie, it was sort of produced in America, and it's filled in a gap between when the TV show is cancelled and another period when the new Who came around in 2005 or 2003 when it started to be made. But Paul McGann plays the 8th Doctor. Sylvester McCoy makes a brief appearance as the 7th Doctor, and the companion is Daphne Ashbrook. Well, Grace Holloway played by Daphne Ashbrook. So I decided, go and overview this movie, go into some of the details of the movie, what I liked, what I didn't like, my overall opinion. So let's get on with it. Doctor Who the movie. So I'm gonna go in and summarize Doctor Who the movie. It was not getting quite a good press, I'd say, in America and UK, and that sort of dispersuaded me to actually go and review this one. I mean, I'm a big fan of New Who, like the New Who, Doctor Who stuff. I don't usually watch classic Doctor Who. I'm going to start watching a bit of it now. I mean, I have a few DVDs of the classics, so I might go and watch them, collect a few of those, and see what they're like. But this was sort of in between time period, or a nostalgic time of the 90s. For, it was just a 90s type film, and it was sort of Americanized, but it didn't feel too American. It felt like British people were in control. It had a few American actors, and it wasn't really like the classic Who, and definitely no way like New Who. It was different styles, and it was more cinematic. It aired on BBC, I think in 1996, and it was just a week of hype about Doctor Who in a space where Doctor Who was not being broadcast from 1989 to 2005, which is a huge gap of what is that? Do the math there. That's like 15 years of no Who, from having 26 years of television going on, and then just a gap. People were excited about this, but it didn't generate the heat that it could have. Or it didn't generate a TV show spin-off or a revival of Doctor Who as sorts. It was just there, and then it was gone. So it's sort of sad in that way. But I went back and I watched this one yesterday, I think. And let's go in and talk about Doctor Who, the movie, as I was about to. So our basic, it's by Matthew Jacobs, and it is directed by Jeffrey Sachs. So the Doctor is returning home to Gallifrey with the remains of his arch nemesis, the Master. Forced off course, the TARDIS arrives in San Francisco on New Year's Eve 1999, where the Doctor is critically wounded in a gangland gun battle. At the local hospital, Dr. Grace Holloway fights and fails to save his life. Later in the morgue, the Doctor wakes up a new man, but he's not the only one. The Master has found himself a new body. As the clock counts down to the start of the new millennium, can the Doctor stop the oldest enemy, destroying all life on Earth? So yeah, it's set in 1999. It quickly starts off, and we get to see the cool new TARDIS that they have. Of course, Sylvester McCoy starts off where he picked off. I mean, there's a big gap between, say, 1999 and 1999. So there's a 10-year gap of Sylvester McCoy's, I guess, really fictionally as Doctor. I mean, there was movies made about it, but books and stuff like that. But here we go into it. Sylvester McCoy is in this new, furnished up, weird kind of TARDIS. It sort of fixes his personality, really. He's in this TARDIS. Pretty cool looking, actually. You can go look it up. It's pretty awesome. But anyway, we see Sylvester McCoy as Doctor. He has quite a unique character, and he ends up with the remains of the Master, his sort of arch nemesis throughout the whole of Doctor Who history. This has been his one man he couldn't defeat. He's also a Time Lord just like Doctor, and lived with him in Gallifrey. So he's in Skaro, I think, with the remains of the Master when he started off with, and he ends up having his remains, taking them, and he's going to bring them. Well, he's going to bring them home to Gallifrey with him. Yeah. He's bringing them home to Gallifrey, his arch nemesis. Anyway, he ends up being zoomed off for some reason. The TARDIS brings him to, I think, 1999 Millennium in San Francisco. And I think the Master somehow gets back alive, and he's in action. And anyway, the Doctor suffers some heart problem. Oh no, sorry. Let's get into it. We see San Francisco in 1999. It's actually made in 1995 or something, but it's a few years in the future, and the Doctor is whisked off here. He gets out, gets shot, and is quickly regenerating, as the doctors don't know what to do with him. He has two hearts. They never deal with this sort of thing before. He's an extraterrestrial life, as they will figure out. I think this is when our companion Grace Holloway is brought in. She goes in to try save the Doctor, doesn't end up doing it. He regenerates in a sort of area where they keep the dead bodies. We see Paul McGann as the 8th Doctor take over, completely different from Sylvester McCoy in a lot of ways, and he takes action. So we are introduced to the new Paul McGann as Doctor. Grace Holloway ends up going and meeting him. We see some Chinese lad named whatever his name is. He ends up being quite a big part of the story. He views this whole event, and he just ends up being with normal people. He goes into the hospital, takes the things that the Doctor owns. We see this new regeneration cycle for the Doctor. As you know or don't know, the Doctor is just in the regeneration cycle. You know, he's just regenerated into Doctor from Sylvester McCoy to Paul McGann, and he is still suffering side effects after you get into that sort of thing. All the power that's sort of erupting out of him is causing him to not really remember anything and feel kind of weird, and he's a new person, really. So same thing happens with Paul McGann here. Yeah, he's a completely different guy. He's much younger. He's new. He's trying to discover his surroundings and everything like that, get his bearings on things. We end up seeing him go back with Grace. Ends up going with Grace. Grace discovers that he is actually an extraterrestrial being, and he was the person that she did not save. So the person with two hearts, she recognizes that and brings him back to her house. They kiss. I think they get into a sort of romantic relationship. And, well, Paul McGann, as the Doctor, he sort of deals with this by loving her, and Grace, they're trying to get the bearings and things, and they feel quite awkward in some places, but it feels kind of like an unrealistic sort of relationship. It feels like a bit too quickly that they would fall in love like that. It's kind of weird, but it doesn't feel like, proper Doctor Who for me. It feels more cinematic, made for the movies thing type deal. But anyway, Grace Holloway is a person. She seems quite annoying. I mean, in a way. She does all these things. She's obviously a doctor. She just got fired. She's kind of doesn't afraid to get her feelings out there. She's kind of happy, upgoing person. But in this sort of scenario, she doesn't get too sad about things. She's happy to be with the Doctor. She finds herself in this relationship, and she's kind of content with how things are going, and she's completely over. I mean, it's only a 80-minute movie, so there's not much time for development, really, or the Doctor's in a way. So, like in a TV show where things could develop, if you could find her bearings of the Doctor, it's only one event that we get really going on here, 1999 on Christmas Eve. So we quickly to see how these people develop into characters. Grace Holloway is well, she is what she is. She completely falls for the Doctor, and there's no real backlash from that, really. I mean, there's a sort of way at the end that things happen, but nothing of backlash terms or fallout between the two. They just get into a relationship, and that's all I can say. I can't stress enough how kind of stupid that is, but again, it was made for a movie, so you can understand how that goes in, and then it does make some constraints that's from a movie sort of point of view. Anyway, they go off together, and they discover it quickly. The Master has brought himself back as a sort of slug-like creature, and he is going to unleash the Eye of Destruction or something, and the whole world is going to collapse, and he's just wanting this power, wants to be better than the Doctor, and then he quickly forms a sidekick as the Chinese guy who sort of witnessed everything, and he's going to hire him, pay him, the traditional sort of Master way to do what he does. The Master is played, Chang Li, who is played by Yi Ji So. The Master is played by Eric Roberts. I think he's quite good as an actor. I wasn't really expecting him to be sort of Americanized guy, big sort of Hollywood type guy. Looks kind of like a hero, but ends up being that sort of darker character, and that's cool. I mean, that's pretty cool for him. The Master, obviously, he falls for the same thing that the other characters. It's only a movie, and it feels completely different to the normal Doctor Who series, where they get a lot of time to develop his characters, change, maybe grow stronger hero types or evil type ways. The Master, being the main villain, he has to carry a whole load of plot and evilness, and he's only just formed here, so his character is quite one-dimensional. It's through that one-dimensional type villain. He has great look, and says some great stuff, I guess. He works pretty well with the sidekick. I mean, he's sort of that guy that just wants power, and it doesn't really discover his background much as what he wants to do. He just sort of wants there to be to go after the Doctor and kill the Doctor, maybe. There's a chase scene, and he wants things to go his way, no one else's way. Wants all the power, doesn't really care about any humans. Completely sort of opposite to the Doctor in ways, but he's sort of the same type of person as the Doctor, in same type of being. He's from Gallifrey. The Master ends up being someone that you despise at the end. Well, you don't really despise, you don't like, you don't have to like him, and you can see reasons why he's just evil. He does stuff evil to Grace at the end, which I won't spoil for you guys. But yeah. So that all develops. That sort of storyline develops. I mean, some of the writing is pretty good. I think that the plot is quite. It's quite all right. I mean, the plot isn't just. It's traditional save the world type plot on New Year's Eve. There is a kind of weird thing, timey-wimey thing near the end, which I kind of like as Doctor Who. They do that a lot, but it's not the most original thing. I mean, it feels kind of original. Maybe it was original for the time being, but I've seen so much of this in Doctor Who where they have to go through time and do some weird stuff just as the whole climax of the movie is getting underway. I think that sort of takes away from the movie, that it doesn't really make much sense. It goes from being, a normal go-get-'em story, which would have worked fine, but it goes and tries to be like a really cool Doctor Who sort of thing, and kind of fails on that front, because it doesn't make any sense. Maybe it makes some sense some way. There was a lot of technical stuff that they didn't explain, or some side characters that were just there for no reason. And yeah, that's where the movie fell for me. You can enjoy it for what it was. Some of the action is pretty good, but again, the whole climax serves as just making no sense. And what happens in the climax? Again, I don't know what the heck was going on. I don't know how the Master was defeated. Obviously, the Master was defeated. The Doctor ends up staying with Grace. They celebrate. The Chinese guy gets away. He's happy. He takes some of the money and just leaves. I mean, that's a cool ending with Grace and the Doctor. It was a nice touch to see them just there celebrating New Year's Day. And actually, speaking of that, today is New Year's Eve, so it's cool that I'm actually doing it today. and it will be up on the 31st of December. So yeah, that sort of reminds me of what today is. Yeah, so yeah, it was on a funny moments with a few like weird side characters that didn't really make any sense, that they sort of celebrated it, and that was a comedy aspect that it made it lighthearted. It was American based. Come on, guys, it was gonna be lighthearted anyway. Yeah, and that's how it fell on to be. To name some other people who took part in this movie, there was Salinger, who was played by John Novak. I'm not really sure who that was. Salinger, don't really care. I think that was some guy who was a scientist or something. There was Dr. Swift, who was a scientist, who was played by Michael David Sims. Miranda was played by Eliza Roberts. She had a minor role, I think, in this one. Professor Wag was played by Dave Hertzheim. Curtis was played by Dolores Drake. Wheeler, Catherine Lau, Pete William Sasso. I could go on. Ted Joe. There's a lot of people like motorcycle policeman, news anchors, security man, the old master. I mean, there wasn't too many people in this movie really to remember. And the guys that were in the other movie were some of them kind of memorable, but they didn't get any moments really. They got like one moment in the whole movie. Yeah, just, typical American actors really playing these roles. I mean, that's not typical, sorry. But just some American actors doing the roles. And yeah, some of this does show its time. Some of the humour is quite 90s. And yeah, it doesn't feel like the Doctor Who sort of humour. It feels American, and some of it's quite pushed. Yeah, so I think it probably attracted some people who were from the old Doctor Who that came out, and they probably wouldn't have enjoyed this too much. It doesn't have that sci-fi. It does have a bit of sci-fi, but it's pushed kind of weirdly. If I say that sounds kind of weird. It's not done the same way that the old sci-fi was. And if you're a fan of New Who and you wanted to see this, you will think it's really, really fake. But this is how the old Who went. But it feels more cinematic. So I actually enjoyed it for the way that was cinematic. But again, that's not going to get that with all movies. It was higher budget than traditional episodes, and it had a lot more time to write itself out, and so the climax could be finished correctly. And in a way, yeah, it fulfilled what it wanted to do. It just fulfilled it in a way that I probably wouldn't have thought about it would do. If I could say anything else about the movie, it would be that I'd say recommend this to watch it if you're a die-hard fan. If you like Doctor Who, like the New Who sort of thing, it's not worth watching. If you like New Who or any sort of, mainly if you like New Who, you don't have to go back at all to watch this, guys. I wouldn't even recommend going back. Just watch all the new series 1 to 8 are great. And just that rhymed. Yeah, this Doctor Paul McGann, he doesn't seem to be anything like the new Doctors. He's played quite a bit like more transparently. I mean, Paul McGann, he's a good guy, but it doesn't feel as thickly rolled or as good a character as in the series, in the New Who series or the old. But if you're a fan of like no old Doctor Who, you might want to watch this just to see what happens. I mean, it's more of a standalone than anything else. You're gonna enjoy some of it. I mean, the humor. You might enjoy some of the funny jokes that it gets in, just for a movie night. Have a laugh. See what you think about it. Comment below what you guys think about this. I'm going to give it a 6.5 to 7 out of 10. Might as well go on and give this a 6.5 out of 10. Didn't enjoy it too fully at all. It had lots of plot holes, I think, that I could point out in this one. The characters weren't very memorable. The Doctor, I didn't enjoy too much. Like, I should enjoy Doctor Who. That's my favourite thing about Doctor Who, is enjoy the Doctor. The companion was a bit, annoying, sorts. She was alright, but she wasn't just... She reminds me of Rose a little bit. Kind of annoying and can't really explain her actions too well. Yeah, and the plot, I didn't enjoy the plot too much. It was just... A lot of it didn't make any sense. But again, you're going to enjoy a lot of moments in this movie. Maybe even go on to think it was a good movie. I don't want to put it far as saying it was a good movie. It wasn't bad, or you might think it was kind of bad. I thought it was alright. I mean, people at the time who watched this might have thought, oh, it was good to see. This could be the resurrection of Doctor Who. It didn't really stand as that. Again, that's all it was. It was just trying to bring back beating a dead horse. or not really beating a dead horse. It just didn't come back, and it had to be like reinvented, which was what happened in the new Who. It was trying to do classic Doctor Who, but not do it like it should have been done. It was Americanized, and yeah, the Americans didn't even like it. So that just shows that it didn't stand up very well. And again, I can understand why people didn't like this or weren't taken to it. If you watch this once, you would probably not want to make a Doctor Who series. Yeah, so that's all I can say about this one, guys. Not recommend it too highly or at all. Next time I'm going to do some other movies. You can comment below what you think I should do next time. Old classic TV shows or movies. Mainly movie reviews, guys. From like the pre-2000 maybe. That would be a good thing to do. Or early 2000s. I don't want to do two new movies because they're sort of what you're watching at the moment. I want to go back and revisit old things that are pretty popular or thereabouts. So this one was known as sort of not great. See you guys next time. Gene T. One, and have a good one.